Welcome to the oasis.state podcast, a podcast where we peel back the layers of life's mysteries, decode the cosmic dance, and embrace the technicolor tapestry of our existence. I'm Zoe, your guide through the twists and turns of this wild journey we call life. If you've ever felt like you don't quite fit into society's mold, well, you've found the right place. Join me as we dive deep into the pool of existence, exploring the WTF moments that make life simultaneously confusing and exhilarating. From soul-expanding experiences to heart-wrenching healing journeys, we'll shine the light on all of it, and I'll share how we can alchemize these moments into pure magic and transformation. Consider this podcast your safe haven, your home away from home, where you can let your freak flag fly and embrace the full spectrum of who you are. So are you ready to join me on this soul-expanding adventure? Buckle up, my friends. Let's make some magic together. Hello, gorgeous soul, and welcome back to another episode of the Oasis.state podcast. I'm your host, Zoe. So, if you're watching on the video, you can see that I am sitting somewhere different, and I usually record this podcast at my desk. Today I was just doing my washing, and I usually have my bed in the background. I was like, oh, that's not the greatest. And then we've actually got a spare room at the moment. We've got a new person moving into the house. And I was like, spare room? What do you mean? I think you mean podcast studio. I've just had a little bit of fun over the last 10, 15 minutes bringing in little props to set up. And I'm just locking myself in the room to batch record some podcast episodes for you. They come out weekly, but with my schedule, I just like to record a few at a time so I don't miss that Wednesday morning window. This has been really fun. I've got a salt lamp beside me and then a plant on the other side. And you just see all over social media and other people's video recordings of their podcast, putting beautiful artwork in the background and really just giving their viewers and their listeners something to take in other than our voice and the content. And I'm just loving it. Past versions of me would feel really, really embarrassed by these different evolutions of my journey as a podcaster and a business owner. But now I just love it so much. I've already had so many evolutions over the last few years with my podcast. And I used to just think oh, that's so embarrassing, or I'd cringe at an old post that I put up, when you get a memory roll through. But now I'm just look at this chick go. Look at these past versions of me who just backed herself so much and sat in that discomfort and just believed that she had something to share. So that's where I'm at today as well. So this is today's evolution. I don't know how many podcasts I will record, but if you're watching them on video, I hope you're enjoying my little setup. That was actually so much fun. And, down the track, I would love to have a more purposeful space, some artwork in the background, or actually be recording at a proper studio. But in the meantime, I'm actually just really loving this little creative journey. And I'm so proud of every version of myself that's showing up to offer this magic to the world, because I really do believe that I'm not just going through this for myself. I can go through what I'm going through, transmute it, embody it, and then turn around and help anyone else that resonates with my message. So today I'm in my own little home podcast studio, but next time I record, that probably won't be the case. But hey, I'm looking around the house now and I'm oh, where can I set up? Ideally, I would love to record these podcasts outside, but just with all the background noise and all of those factors, and you've got to have your laptop plugged in to record this kind of stuff. So maybe one day I'll be able to manifest one of those indoor-outdoor studios where you've got a roof to floor window, and because I feel when I'm channeling this kind of information on these podcasts, I channel information through my connection to nature. So being inside feels very counterintuitive, but for the sake of sound quality and the resources I have available to me right now, this is where we're at. And it'll just be so cool over the years to just continue watching all of these evolutions. So strange little segue to start the episode, but I just wanted to mention that because there might be some people here that are at the beginning of their business or figuring out their sense of purpose or how they want to share what they want to share with the world. So I hope that I can encourage you guys to just show up for all of it. And realize that it's all okay, and everyone had to start like this, like you can go on social media now and see someone, doing really well with their business, but it might have been 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They were just like me, starting with their little home studio and some props either side of them, and just backing themselves and believing what they have to share with the world. So yeah, if that little 3 or 4 minute spiel resonated with you guys, don't be afraid to put your magic out there. It's such a cathartic and spiritual experience in itself. So yeah. Anyway, I will get started. I'm just gonna record this. I don't even know if it'll be like not even 10 minutes, but the way that I understand the world is literally just when I'm walking around, and sometimes I'll be observing the most mundane thing, and then the most, well, I think a really helpful spiritual lesson will come through. And it's like, I feel like when I'm channeling my messages, I'm always trying to offer an analogy so that our brains and our logical mind can get around the more abstract aspects of spirituality and universal energy, because, those kind of things can't kind of be quantified or, put into little boxes. And then it's really interesting to observe, because the other way around, so just saying, when I'm on here channeling like abstract concepts, I always kind of find that an analogy will come through to help what I'm trying to say land for you guys, or I hope it does. No one's told me it doesn't. So and then it's funny, because the other way around, I will be observing something in my day, and then it turns into a huge analogy for this like big abstract spiritual lesson. So it's nice to observe. I'm like, it's a two-way street. So this observation that I had the other day is so random, but it was very, very profound for me. And I just wanted to share it with you guys. So at the moment, I'm living in Northern Rivers in New South Wales. And at the time of recording this podcast, we've come into autumn. So it's getting a bit colder now, really beautiful crisp mornings, really cool nights. It's so much easier to sleep. And for that reason, we are turning off our ceiling fans more. And I didn't realize until we turned off the ceiling fan. So in this particular example, I turned it off in my room, was laying on my bed, and just, drifting off with the fairies, in my thoughts. And I realized, oh my God, I probably haven't touched that fan or turned it off the entire summer. So for months and months and months, it's just been whirling around at the different settings. But yeah, it's summer in Australia. It's so hot. You literally need airflow all the time. So at whatever point this was a few weeks ago, I turned my fan off for the first time in months, was laying on my bed and just observed it, slowly, the last few little rotations of the life that I had left with, electricity or however it works. And then I observed the blades stop. Sorry, if you're watching me, I actually just looked up because there's a ceiling fan here, but I'm going to look at the screen. And I watched the ceiling fan blades come to a complete stationary stop. And they were disgusting. Honestly, they were layered and caked in the thickest layers of like really black dust, and obviously all of, the mold from all the rain this season, and just the dust and the pathogens and everything that's flying around in the air has been caught by those ceiling fan blades again and again and again, literally for the last 3 or 4 months through the hot summer that we've just had. And I was like, ew, so need to clean that as soon as possible. But then I had this complete download about how that is actually an analogy for us as human beings when we won't stop. So like the ceiling fan, sometimes we can get into seasons of life, or into levels of consciousness where we are pushing ourselves, where we're conditioned to go, 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 do. And it's really counterproductive for the way that our energy as a human being actually works, especially as a female. So yeah, I realized, oh, okay, so the ceiling fan's been going for months. That's sort of an analogy for like when people go, go, go all the time. And it wasn't until the fan stopped, we were actually able to observe how dirty and how built up and how gunky the fan had gotten. And I was like, that's exactly what happens to a human being when we keep going and going and going and we won't stop. So yeah, that like really landed for me. And I'm always such an advocate for slowing down. And I think I've got another podcast talking about slowing down, the levels of rest and things like that. And I've probably recorded multiple podcast episodes on it, but it was just this really potent analogy for me, because if you are running around and you haven't stopped for a really long time, you don't know how energetically dirty you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need solitude, we need stillness, we need rest to kind of detox our physical body, our energetic body, like our holistic being physically, like genuinely cannot rinse and detox and transmute all of the gunk that we're picking up in our day-to-day life unless we stop. So if you're running around and you'll never ever stop, but you're actually finding yourself a bit dysregulated, there's a whole nervous system piece there, which I'll get into in another episode. But I want you to take that analogy with you. If you're running around and you won't stop and you're feeling really weird, it's probably because your aura, your chakras, your physical body are as gunked up and layered and caked in black muck as those ceiling fan blades that I noticed after turning the fan off after months and months and months and realizing how dirty and how built up that those blades had gotten. So we need to use that analogy for our human selves and our holistic beings. If we are not slowing down, then we're not getting that chance to really, one, identify how gucky and monkey we might be. And guys, we're highly sensitive beings and we're walking around in an overstimulating world all the time. Like the energetic gunk that I'm referring to could just be like a client or a customer at work just being rude to you like 3 weeks ago. And like, if you're not energetically hygiene and spiritually hygienic, then you're holding on to that irritation or that density that person, was able to penetrate your aura with. So think about all of those situations. Like, you might be stuck in traffic, or your boss is stressing you out, or you're having problems in your relationship, or you're not getting outside enough. Like, I could sit here for ever and talk about all of the things that would lead you to build up an energetic kind of gunk all over you. And if you don't slow down and turn yourself off, like me turning my ceiling fan off, you'll never get that chance to actually identify how much gunk is there. And sometimes there might not be very much, but there might be a lot. So the first step is to be able to identify that and then be still enough to actually clean the gunk off. So the ceiling fan has, I've turned the ceiling fan off. I've noticed how dirty it is. Obviously, it's on like the really high priority list for me to clean that fan. And I cleaned those blades and gave it a spray with eucalyptus oil and white vinegar, because we have a lot of mold here in Northern Rivers. So you've got to be actively working on it, cleaning up those blades. So it's like preventing it from getting moldy again. But then it's resting. It's not getting dirty again. So you need to identify if you have gunk on yourself, like in your aura and on your physical body and all of that stuff. And then you need to figure out how you need to clean it. So is that like a body release exercise? Is that going to see a therapist? Is that going to have a healing session with somebody? Is that just simply spending some time in nature, jumping in the ocean, getting some sun? Like, I could list off a whole bunch of ways to cleanse yourself, hygienically, like energetically and spiritually. But I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, then you're very well equipped. Or if not, maybe reach out to me and I can do an episode on how to kind of like spiritually clean ourselves and stay really hygienic in that sense. So yeah, that's kind of what landed for me. And I hope it resonates. I feel like I had another point, but now it's sort of like left my brain. Hold on a minute. Yeah, no, I think that's it. It's just going to be a little short ep today, but hey guys, that little analogy was like a huge wake up call for me. And seeing how dirty those blades were made me realize how dirty and gunky we can get as human beings if we don't slow down. So that's my message for you guys. Don't get dirty like my ceiling fan that I left on for 3 months. Slow down, take those pockets to release, and our mind, body, soul, like our holistic being actually knows exactly what to do. But if you don't create the environment to do that and get in the driver's seat of that experience, then you'll just keep building up the gunk. Oh, I just remembered my other point. And if you let that gunk continue to build, then that's where physical diseases and ailments actually manifest, because if you don't feel emotions, or if you don't shift out of, so it's not actually so much about the thoughts, because our thoughts create our subconscious beliefs, which create our emotions. So there's a whole plethora of things going on here, but I'm not going to mention them in this podcast episode. But if you're having particular thoughts, you've had a particular situation that is manifesting as a particular wave of emotions, if you're not taking the time to actually feel them, they don't just go away. Like, you don't just dig them down, they go away. They will eventually manifest as physical ailments or physical issues, or even just like hay fever. There's like, our body keeps the score. Like, there's a book, I forget the author's name, but the body literally keeps the score. So to be functioning at your optimal level and avoiding, letting all of these emotions or trauma or events or whatever, it doesn't even like, and I'm not even saying like gnarly childhood trauma. Just like I said, you might have a really shit customer or client at work, and that can traumatize you if you're feeling quite sensitive at that point. So trauma is like a bit of a loaded word, but it can just be like a shitty day stuck in traffic that can build up if you're not like releasing it. If you don't come home and like I said, ground yourself or breathe or get in the sunlight or do some jumping jacks to shift it. So we need to be constantly creating these pockets of time to be cleaning that spiritual gunk off ourselves, to avoid it compounding and us getting into a really dysregulated state, out of alignment, and into a space of disease, which is dis-ease. So yeah, cool. Hope that analogy lands for you, because it really, really was a big wake-up call for me when I realized how dirty that fan was getting without me noticing, because it was going and going and going. So slow down, guys. Check in with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, and do the things that you need to do to clean yourself up, like energetically and spiritually, So yeah, all right, gonna leave it there. Love you guys heaps. Hey, beautiful soul. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Oasis.state podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. It means the world to me knowing that everyone who needs this medicine and magic can lovingly receive it. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to reach out via social media, my website, or email. Can't wait to connect, and until then, sending you heaps of love.